So in this case, you're going to have A is 3, so that would give you a 9 here when you square. And B is A minus 1, so it's 2. That's a negative 1. Square it to get a positive 1 times 2 is 2. So 9 plus 2 is 11. On this one you have 4 for A, so if I put that in there I get a 16, and B is A minus 2, so that would be a 2, and then A again is 4, C is B plus 1. Remember that B was 2, so C is 3, and then minus B, 2. That's a 1, square it to get a 1, and times 4 is 4. So 32 plus 4 would be 36. A is C divided by 2. C is 6, so A is going to be 3, and B would be 4. So you're going to have 3 times 4 plus 4 times 6 minus 3 times 6. That's 12 plus 24 minus 18. 36 minus 18 should be 18. The winning number today is 1. These people had an A or an A plus on the test yesterday. Johnson and Ruark, Kleiber and Bruton, Carver and Armstrong, Garrett and Boyd. Here are the answers to the test. On the first problem, there are 4 people picking apples. In a contest, Joe picked 4 less than twice as many as Harry. John picked 3 more than twice as many as Joe. Sally picked 8 more than twice as many as Joe, and the total was 101. So Joe, if he picked 4 less than twice as many as Harry, he's going to end up with 2x minus 4. And on number 2, Harry would have to be x. On number 3, John picked 3 more than twice as many as Joe. So here's the 3 more, here's the twice as many, and here's Joe in parentheses. So you would do 2 times 2x to get 4x, 2 times minus 4 to get minus 8, and put the plus 3 at the end. Negative 8 plus 3 is minus 5, so 4x minus 5 is what you should have for John. And then for Sally, Sally had 8 more than twice as many as Joe. So here's 8 more, here's twice as many, and here's Joe. So 2 times 2x is 4x, 2 times minus 4 is minus 8, and then you just have the 8 tagging along. You don't multiply the 8 by 2, it's not in the parentheses. So negative 8 plus 8 just cancels out to 0. You're left with 4x. Now this should be your simplified equation here in the circle. Everything that we found for those 4 people, here, 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 and here, you simplify it, you have 2, 3, 7, 11 x's. And then minus 4 minus 5 is minus 9. And you set it equal to 101. Now you had to go through and find out what each person had. If you solve that equation down, you have Joe for 16, Harry for 10, and Harry would have been the x value. John 35, Sally 40. So on number 10, it's asking if there is a bonus for anyone picking more than 20 apples, then who earned the bonus? It would be John and Sally. If you just put John or Sally, I still gave you some points. And then you had to figure out what the bonus was. It was $1.05 for each apple that was over 20. So John had 15 apples over 20 because he had 35. Multiply that to get $15.75. and Sally had 20 more than what she needed. So multiply that to get 21. The question in number 11 is asking if there is a bonus of $1.05 for every 1 over 20, what is the sum of the bonus money? I had many people that wrote this out and put two answers in the blank. It's asking for the sum between the two. So it should be $36.75. In problem B, you had 5 cars in a race to see who can drive the most miles in 2 hours. And car 1 drove 20 less than half as many miles as car 2. So that makes car 2 X, and 20 less than half as many means you have 20 less here, and then half as many as car X, which is, or car 2, which is X. So 1/2 X minus 20. Naturally, car 2 is X. And for car 3 drove 30 less than twice as many miles as car 1. So there's 30 less, twice as many, and here's car 1 in the parentheses. If you multiply 2 by 1/2, it's just 1. So you have 1x, and 2 times minus 20 is minus 40. Take away the 30 to get x minus 70. And then 15 for car 4. That one drove 8 more miles than car 3. So car 3 was x minus 70. Here's 8 more miles. Negative 70 plus 8 is not 78. It's negative 62. So x minus 62 is the answer. And then car 5 drove 50 less miles than car 4. Here's car 4. There's 50 less. That should give you x minus 112. So if you solve your equation that you come up with, you should have 80. And car 2 is 200, which was the x value, the solution to the equation. 3 was 130. 4 was 138. 5 is 88. Now 22, the question is asking if there is a bonus for any car over 150 who earned it in car 2. They had 200 miles. So the bonus for car 2, they had 50 more than what they needed because they had 200 and they had to have 150 to get it. So they had 50 more. Multiply that by 267 and get 133.50. And what's 24? If there is a fine for any car that fails to make it to 100 miles, then what cars will be fined? Well, 1 and 5. They had 80 and 88. And then the very last problem. If there is a fine of $5 for each mile under 100, what is the sum of the fines given to the 2 cars named in question 24? That means you just have one answer. You don't write 2 numbers. $5 per mile they were under, and $5 per mile they were under. The sum of those is 160. Now the extra credit was negative 13, 14, 2, 2, and negative 3. If you got less than a 70, or not a 70, but a 700, then you can come to intervention and we can work it up. Now you can come today if you want to, but you guys are assigned to another class, so that might be difficult. But tomorrow you can come in, and I already have 4 problems made up, so we can work one of them, and I can give you another, and if you don't get that one right, I'll give you another. And if you don't get that one right, I'll give you another one. So you can have 3 shots if you can do them in one period to raise your grade up to 700. Example 1. We're going to graph y equals x plus 3. And you have to understand the parts of a linear equation so that you can easily graph it. This is in slope-intercept form. And that is because the number next to the x is the slope, and it's called m. The number and the sign before it at the back end is b. That's the y-intercept. You get your slope from just to the left of the x and your y-intercept from the end of the equation. with those two items, you can easily graph a line. The first thing you have to look at is the y-intercept. It's a positive 3. You're going to mark that on the y-axis. So find a positive 3 on the y-axis. I need to make a big dot. There we go. And there it is. Close to it. There's 3 on the y-axis. Now, once you have the 3, you need to go back and use the slope. Slope is rise over run. So wherever you make your y-intercept, you're going to go up and then to the right. Always to the right. Sometimes you go down if it's a negative slope. What is the slope in this equation? Yeah. It's not 3. 3 is the y-intercept at the back end. The slope's not y, because it's off to the left of the equal sign. Look where the line is pointing to. It's right beside the x. What number is beside the x? It's what? Yeah, 1. But remember, it's rise over run. So I have a positive 1. How can I write a positive 1 as a fraction? 1 over something. 1 over 1, yeah. You can write any number over 1. If you're given just one digit or just one number for the slope, then put it over 1. That means from where I made the y-intercept on positive 3 on the y-axis, I'm going to go up 1 and then to the right 1 from that. So I'll zoom in here and I'll go up 1 and then to the right 1. And then I'll make a dot where I finished. I went up 1 and then to the right 1. And I made a dot right here. Once you do that, you have to go through and draw the line. Now for me, I have a line tool in here, and I have to not get it just perfect to start with, but then I have to even it out a little bit. Well, I got it right off the bat. That's a rare occasion. There it is, but you're not finished yet. You can't just draw that line and leave it. You have to put arrows at either end because a line goes on forever in both directions. You also have to carry your line all the way through the graph. You can't do anything like this. It's got to go from one border to the other. If you do anything like this, it won't count. If you leave out your arrows at either end, it won't count. If you turn in something that looks like this, it won't count. Why won't that count? It's not a straight line, right. If you have a ruler to use, then you have to have straight lines. When you bring up a graph up here, I'm not just looking for the right y-intercept and the right slope. I'm looking to see if you carried it all the way through the graph, if you put arrows on both ends, and if it's straight. Example 2. We're going to graph y equals negative x minus 2. So what is this number back here? What does the negative 2 represent? Negative 2 on the y-axis, and what is that called? Intercept. There's something else before it. Y-intercept, right, that's the y-intercept. What is the slope in this equation? Yeah. Yeah, it'd be a negative 1. Notice there's no number here. There's just a negative sign. When you see that, it's a negative 1 for your slope. Now what can I put that negative 1 over? Just a 1, yeah. Don't put it over a negative 1, just put it over a positive 1. Alright, so we have to find negative 2 on the y-intercept. So we're going to go to negative 2, and make a dot like this. Now don't forget that the slope is -1 over 1. If the slope is -1 over 1, a negative number means you go down and to the right instead of going up and to the right. So if it's -1 over 1, I go down 1 and then to the right 1 and make a dot. Once you have that second dot, all you have to do is draw the line. Now let's see how good I can get this. Well, that's not good at all, and I can't even erase that. But I can't, oh, so I just have to use that tool. I just learned something new. I've been using this for 1.5 years and didn't know I could do that. I'm all excited now. Now I have to hit the right tool this time. There we go. That line is awful thick. See, I have to move mine over like that. There we go. And I went a little bit too far, but that's fine. I've extended it all the way through the graph. The line is straight, and I have arrows at both ends. On your homework or any graph that you turn in that has more than one line on it, especially your homework, let's say this were problem number 1. When you graph the line, make sure you put a 1 at either end and circle it. Yeah, it'll make it a lot easier for you to check it when I show you the solution guide the next day. If you don't, then if you have to go back and try to find number 2 or number 7, then you have to actually go through all the lines and figure out, well, which one is this going to be. If you mark both ends of it, it'd be much easier. Graph y equals x plus 5. Our y-intercept is going to be 5, so find 5 and make a dot. The slope is 1 over 1. So from that point, I'm going to go up 1 and then to the right 1 and make a dot. So now I'll go back and get my line tool out. I wish there was a way to make this skinnier. I can at least take the shadow off and no border. So we'll go like this. And I need to make it go a little bit more that way. There we go, and we'll put the arrows on it like this, and that should be your line. The answer to the bonus, -3 minus 5, should give me x equals -8. Practice number 2. The y-intercept on this one is going to be 1, so I'll put a dot at 1, and the slope is -1 over 1. So that means I go down 1, and then to the right 1, and make a dot. And my line must pass through those 2 dots. So here comes the line tool, and we'll go there. I have to make it parallel. I actually hit it right off the bat. Unbelievable. Okay, so we go there, like this, and like this. For this, we don't have time to give points, but we'll do it anyway just to say the answers out loud. What is the y-intercept of this graph? 4, yeah, that's where it crosses on the y-axis. What's the y-intercept of this one?
3.
2. It goes through 2. And what's the y-intercept here? -4, yes. Alright, here's example 3. And you're going to graph 1/2 x minus 2. So here's one that doesn't have a number of -1 or 1 as the slope. So the slope is 1/2 and the y-intercept is -2. So there's -2 on the y-axis, and the slope is 1/2, so that means we go up 1, there's up 1, and then to the right 2. Make a dot. Up 1 and to the right 2. From there, all you have left to do is to draw the line. And I did it again, but at least I know that I can do this. There we go. And I just about had it perfect. That's 2 in a row. That's your line. Positive slopes rise to the right. Negative slopes fall to the right. Example 4. This one has a slope of a -4/3 and a y-intercept of 1. So here's your y-intercept, +1, make a dot. Your slope is -4/3. So that means I'm going to go down 4 and then to the right 3. So we'll go to the y-intercept and go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then to the right 3, and make a dot. Remember, this is down 4 and then to the right 3. Once you have those dots, all you have left to do is to make the line. This one came out to be yellow, and I just about hit another one perfect. I'm 3 for 3 so far. But it is in yellow, kind of strange. On your homework tonight, what you need to do is to graph 1 through 5 on page 1, and then graph 6 through 10 on page 2. Make sure you number your lines at both ends and circle it.